I recently made a video about iPhone tips that aren't necessarily flashy or impressive, but that genuinely help you get more out of your iPhone. So I thought it would make sense to do the same for the Mac, especially because I think most Mac owners don't know about these tips. So in this video, we're going to go through 10 tips for the Mac that I believe will genuinely improve your Mac experience. Okay, let's get into it. Let's say that you've got a meeting in your calendar and there are some documents that you need to review just before it starts. There's a really clever way in the Calendar app on your Mac to have those files open automatically before the meeting begins. Go into Calendar and create a new event. Give it a name. For this example, I'll just call it Meeting. Then click into the Date and Time section and set the start time. Next, click where it says Alert, and from the drop-down menu, choose Custom. In the new menu, click where it says Message with Sound and change that to Open File. In the option underneath, change Calendar to Other. A file browser window will appear. Locate the file that you want to open, select it, and click Select. Then choose how many minutes before the event you'd like the file to open. For this example, I'll choose 5, but you can set whatever works for you. Click OK, and the event is saved. Now 5 minutes before the meeting starts, that file will automatically open on your Mac. It's a simple, automated way to make sure that you review important documents before you join a meeting. If you ever find yourself typing the same thing over and over again on your Mac, you might already be saving that text in a note or a document and copying and pasting it each time that you need it. But there is a much easier way built directly into macOS. Your Mac has a feature called text replacement. Most people think it's only useful for short phrases, but that's not true. You can use it for full emails if you want to. Let me show you how. So in this example, I've opened the Mail app and written a template email, including placeholders for things like the customer's name. This one happens to be an email that I would send out with an invoice, but you could use this for anything. Select all of the text and copy it. Then open System Settings, scroll down on the left-hand side and choose Keyboard. Click into Text Replacements and press the plus button to create a new one. In the Replace field, type the shortcut that you want to use whenever you need this text. You can set this up however you like. I tend to use 2 forward slashes followed by something relevant. So in this case, I'd type / invoice. Just remember this is what you'll type every time that you want to trigger this text. In the With field, press Command and V to paste the full email that you just copied earlier. Click Add, then Done. Now whenever you type your shortcut and press the space bar, that entire passage of text will be inserted automatically. It's a huge time saver if you're constantly reusing the same text. Have you ever used Post-it notes stuck to your monitor to remind you to do something during the day? If yes, there is a little hidden feature in macOS that lets you do the same thing digitally. Instead of using the Notes app for quick reminders, press Command and the spacebar to open Spotlight, then type Stickies. The top result should be the Stickies app, which is already built into your Mac. Press Return to open it. A new note should appear automatically, but if it doesn't, press Command and N to create one. It works just like a physical sticky note. You can type whatever you need and drag it anywhere on your screen. One of the best things about Stickies is that they stay at the front of your display, so they don't disappear behind other windows. You have to physically move them out of the way, just like a real sticky note. You've also got a few options in the menu bar up at the top, including changing the color and the font. But beyond that, it is a simple tool for keeping track of small tasks that you want to stay on top of. When you've finished, just close the note and choose whether to save it or delete it. I've been making tips videos like this for the Mac for years now, and I've been using Mac computers exclusively for almost a decade because, in general, they just work. When I'm pulling a late night trying to edit a video, I don't have to worry about software updates or incompatibilities. My Mac is just there, ready to go, which is also why I regularly endorse CleanMyMac, who are sponsoring this video. Because yes, I use CleanMyMac for the big things, like running a deep scan every once in a while, helping me find broken downloads, duplicate files, all that kind of stuff. And I use it to properly remove apps, making sure that things like development leftovers or bloated system cache files aren't clogging up my machine, and CleanMyMac is awesome for that. But I also use it all the time in the background, just running along like a kind of silent partner. The assistant spots if things aren't running quite as they should, like my Mac running too hot or the battery draining too fast, and figures out what's causing the straining, offering quick, practical fixes. The performance module helps reduce background strain with a simple checklist. And of course, there's the Moonlock anti-malware engine, because in this day and age, even Macs need a bit of help staying safe online. It's all about uninterrupted thinking, meaning that I can stay in the zone for longer and get more done. And if that sounds good to you, check out the link in the description to try CleanMyMac free for 7 days. And if you decide to stick with it, which I think you will, you can use my code PROPERTECH for 20% off. This next tip has been a lifesaver for me on numerous occasions. It's the ability to properly redact text from a PDF, not just draw a shape over it or scribble it out with the pen tool. So let's say you need to provide an ID document, maybe something like a bank statement, and there are details in the PDF that you'd rather not share. Open the PDF in Preview. You can either double-click it if Preview is your default PDF app, or right-click, choose Open With, and then select Preview. Once it's open, click the pen icon to enter markup mode. In the toolbar that appears, you'll see a black square with a dotted outline around it. That's the Redact tool. Click it, then drag over the text that you want to remove. Be aware that this is a destructive process. The changes are applied as soon as you close the document. So if you make a mistake, press Command and Z to undo it before closing. Once the text has been redacted and the document is saved, the removed information cannot be recovered by the recipient. And that's the whole point. Once you've redacted what you need to, you can send the PDF knowing that those details are permanently removed. Let's say that you've got a document on your Mac, maybe a Pages file or a PDF that you use as a template. At the moment, you probably find it in Finder, then either copy and paste it or right-click and choose Duplicate, making sure that you edit the copy rather than the original. That's just to avoid accidentally changing the master file. There's a setting on your Mac that automates this process and removes the risk entirely. Locate the file in Finder, right-click on it, and choose Get Info. In the Info window, look at the General section at the top and enable the option called Stationary Pad. Then close the Info window. Now, whenever you double-click that file, your Mac will automatically create a copy and open the copy instead of the original. Any changes that you make are applied to the duplicate, while the original stays untouched. It's a really useful feature if you often work with template documents. And if you ever want to turn it off, just repeat the same steps and untick the Stationary Pad option. There's a keyboard shortcut that I use all the time because it gets around one of the biggest limitations of Finder on the Mac, which is the lack of a simple cut and paste option for files and folders. So on a Windows PC, you can select a file or folder, press Ctrl and X to cut it, then go to another location and paste it. The file is removed from the original location and moved to the new one, so you don't have to go back and delete it. You can't do that in quite the same way on a Mac. On a Mac, the usual option is Command and C to copy, then Command and V to paste, but that leaves the original file behind. The trick is to remember this shortcut instead. First, press Command and C to copy the file or folder as normal. Then go to the new location, and instead of pressing Command and V, press Option, Command and V. That will paste the file or folder and remove the original from its previous location, effectively moving it in one step. This next tip is really useful if you have both a Mac and an iPhone, but I'm including it because that applies to a lot of Mac users these days. There's a feature recently added to the Reminders app that lets you create urgent reminders. When you mark a reminder as urgent, an alarm will trigger at the set time, and you'll have to either snooze it or turn it off, which makes it much harder to ignore. To use it, create a reminder in the Reminders app as you normally would, but make sure that you tap the I or Info button to the right of the reminder. That opens up more options, including one called Urgent. When you enable this, date and time will automatically be switched on as well. You'll need to set a specific date and time, as that's when the alarm will sound. When that time is reached, an alarm will trigger on your connected iPhone. Just like your morning alarm, you can snooze it or turn it off, and then go back to it to complete the reminder. So if you're someone who tends to add important reminders and then forget all about them, this is a really useful way of making sure that they actually get your attention. The trackpads on Mac computers are, in my opinion, the best in the business. They're almost flawless. The one thing they're not brilliant at, though, is dragging items around the screen, especially if you use a large multi-screen setup like I do every day. There's a feature tucked away in the accessibility settings that makes your trackpad feel almost as good as a mouse for this. To enable it, open System Settings and choose Accessibility from the sidebar. Scroll down to the motor section and tap pointer control, then choose trackpad options. You'll only see this if you're using a built-in trackpad on a MacBook or have one connected to your Mac. Turn on use trackpad for dragging, then set the dragging style to 3-finger drag and click OK. Now whenever you want to drag something, you don't need to do that awkward thumb and finger shuffle. Just place 3 fingers on the trackpad and move them. It makes dragging items from one part of your Mac to another much easier, and it's the feature that's allowed me to comfortably use a trackpad every day without feeling like I need a mouse. Instead of using websites or third-party apps for conversions, get into the habit of using Spotlight Search. It can handle most common conversions, it's available instantly, and in my experience, it's really accurate. Open Spotlight using Command and the spacebar. In most cases, you can just start typing what you want to convert. So for example, here in the UK, I often need to convert dollars to pounds. I can type a dollar amount and, without pressing anything else, my Mac will automatically show me the conversion. This works for temperatures as well. If I type 30°C, Spotlight will give me the Fahrenheit equivalent. The same applies to measurements. If I type a value in centimeters, Spotlight will convert it into inches. If you want to adjust the conversion, you can. For example, instead of converting centimeters to inches, you might want feet. Just press space and type 2 feet, and your Mac will update the result accordingly. One of the best customization features that Apple has added to macOS in recent years is the ability to customize Control Center. We've had this on the iPhone for a while, so it's great to see it on the Mac as well. If you haven't done this before, click into Control Center and choose Edit Controls at the bottom. A menu will appear showing all the controls that you can add. There are some really useful options in here. I like the ability to add a timer from the clock section. Just hover over it and press the green plus button to add it. I also use the screenshot tools in the screenshot section and the Shazam music recognition under sounds. It is definitely worth spending a few minutes going through all of the options available. And remember, it isn't just about what you add. You can also remove items that you don't use. Just press the minus next to anything that you want to get rid of. If there are features that you know you're never going to use, remove them and keep your control center clean and focused. So there you go. That was 10 tips for the Mac that I think will genuinely improve your Mac experience and that I think most Mac owners don't know about. What about you? Were there any tips in this video that were new to you or any that you think I should have included but didn't? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.